Pardon the interruption, I'm Mike Wilbon. Tony, it's Halloween, so how you feeling?
My team won the World Series, baby. I might as well be in outer space, somewhere close to Uranus.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you look good, by the way.
You look like you're doing the best you can.
Very Asian, Mike Wilbon.
Yul Brynner in the house. We will start with my Washington Nationals, champions of the world. The Nats went down 2-0 after 6 innings, stymied by a dominant Zach Greinke before the dam broke into 3-run seventh. The Astros didn't score again, and the Nats became the first team ever to win a 7-game series with 4 road wins. Pablo, how impressed are you by the Nationals' victory?
Super, super impressed. This is perhaps the most unkillable team that we have seen in Major League Baseball history. They faced 5 straight elimination games. They were trailing in each of those 5. They won all of those 5. So, Bomani, when it comes to who they beat, the team in front of them, that was supposed to be a dynasty. And these Nationals refused to be killed.
Yeah, take it from Braves fan that they were supposed to be a dynasty nonsense. That wasn't, hey man, this postseason is a random championship generator, and it is about who manages to get hot at the right time, right? The more teams you add, the more baseball this baseball thing becomes. But they were going up against a team with that 3-man rotation that the Astros were putting out there of Cole, Verlander, and Greinke, right? They mowed them down. They got wins against all of them and then took it on their home field. This is wildly impressive, and that's before we even think about the fact that in May, we pretty much thought this team was donezo.
They had 31 losses in the month of May. They had lost Bryce Harper, their best player, or so we thought. And by the way, Max Scherzer, the starter for the Nats in this game, as of a couple days ago, he could not turn his neck. He could not lift his arm above his shoulder. He got a cortisone shot. He ended up embodying a team that refused to quit. And so, when it comes to what the Astros feel about themselves, they should be kind of sad. No team had lost 4 games at home in any sport.
All you had to do was win 1 at the crib. That is the only thing that you had to do was win 1 at the crib.
Just 1.
And never mind the fact that the other embarrassments that this franchise suffered through the course of this postseason. They only had to win 1. And you can make the argument that Dave Martinez tried to help him by keeping Scherzer out there as long as he did, given the circumstances under which Scherzer was pitching. So think about this for the Nationals. The guy that comes in with the ERA in the postseason is something like 6 or 7. He's the one that winds up getting the win because he had to basically hold it down after Scherzer had put them behind.
And everybody is now second-guessing, do you take out Greinke as soon as you did? Because that is what the Astros did. They used 5 relievers, and they all got
It's funny. All
that
that futuristic baseball, and now you're asking whether or not you take the starting pitcher out of the game. Isn't that crazy?
But we turn now to Joel Embiid versus Karl Anthony Towns. Because in December 2017, Embiid said this about Towns, quote, "Off the court, we're friends and stuff. On the court, I want to kick his ass," end quote. And after last night, I think exactly one of those sentences seems true.
Wow, and look at this. Whoa! Embiid going at it with Karl Anthony Towns.
What are we calling,
and the bench is empty.
That is, I think, grappling. That is wrestling. That is some MMA. That is Ben Simmons.
Shout out to all the people in the suits, by the way, willing to engage, because I wouldn't. Like Brett Brown, you could have been the new Jeff Van Gundy.
He could have been. He didn't fully commit to grabbing the leg, but Ben Simmons did. And there's Embiid, man, just winning the crowd.
I mean, the crowd he already had?
The crowd he always wants to win, no matter how popular he already is. But who comes out of this looking better?
Nobody looks good in this. I do feel like we as viewers we were privy to a milestone moment because that appeared to be the first time that either one of those two dudes had ever been in a fight. And that would totally make sense because nobody really wants to fight the 7-foot dude. But how does anybody come out of this looking good? Does anybody come out of this looking like some kind of tough? Because I don't think that's what happened here.
And they were both trying to win the respect of a man who is on neither of their teams. The name that has been unsaid, but it's all over this, is Jimmy Butler, right? This is what it's about. Jimmy Butler, who is apparently organizing this martial arts tournament, ends up being the guy that everyone's still trying to impress because Karl Towns doesn't want to be bullied, and Embiid loves doing it.
But they both wound up in this situation because neither one of them refuses to believe that they would let the other one try them. That's what this comes down to. Karl Towns is like, oh, I see who you try. Embiid tries people that he thinks are suckers. Towns thinks that this dude is a sucker. So each of them is like, wow, how dare you try me? And then that resulted in what wasn't really a fight.
Yeah, and it resulted mostly in some online back and forth. If we can get the Karl Towns tweet up, because after the game, Embiid had said, "I ain't no bleep," referencing Mike Scott. But here is Karl Towns saying, "I ain't no bleep, raised around lions," 6 emojis of a clown face. # bleep talk.
And now we have our man Embiid, and he says the tough guy act ain't cutting it. You know what you are. You know what you've always been. A bleep. It's a known thing that I own you.
And this makes me feel like I am watching two millennials self-destructing, Bomani. This is what it felt like. If there is a winner, I don't know who it would be because both of these guys seem very into their feelings.
Yeah, but let me tell you one thing I do want to point out here, and I'm glad that Karl Towns pointed this out, because I want to say this to everybody else. Because when all this Embiid trolling stuff was going around last year, I was like, what's going to happen is he's going to come across the wrong one. Karl Towns does not count as the wrong one. But do you realize how many people hit me back with, Joel Embiid has fought a lion before? Remember, Embiid was like, nobody wants to fight me because I'm from Africa. And he really convinced y'all that he had fought a lion. Does that look like a man that wants any part of fighting a lion? If you believed that he fought a lion, don't you feel stupid right now? Because I'm here to remind you that you are a moron. Not you, but, you know.
Thank you. Read!
Now to Steph Curry. Okay. Who will avoid all those darts from the media while he's recovering from a broken hand? Curry went down in the third quarter of an otherwise embarrassing loss to the Suns Wednesday night, featuring 24, 13, and 7 from Aaron Baines. Aaron Baines. Pablo, Warriors owner Joe Lacob says the Warriors won't tank. So how do you see their season playing out?
I think this was a favor, Bo. I think this was a favor from Aaron Baines' butt to the Golden State Warriors because they were going to do the thing where they scrapped real hard to make maybe the 8th seed to get the 41 wins that I thought they were going to get. And instead, what can they do now? They can kind of realize we as a hard-capped team, we really need a cheap young player. And this basically means we're headed to the lottery, and that's good news.
Yeah, you are spoken like a man who does not own a brand new arena that they want to put people in. I don't know how much of the concern for the Warriors was scraping to make the 8th seed as much as this year is the debut of the Palace that Joe Lacob has been working almost a decade to get out there. This is the thing that he uses to show off to all the guys that he has always wanted to impress, and there is going to be a terrible basketball team in there at least for the next probably 6 to 8 weeks. Well, we're probably going to see a lot of D'Angelo Russell putting up a lot of shots and a bunch of dudes that nobody can recognize without reading the program. Also note from this game, though, they got smoked by the Suns. Curry didn't get hurt till late in that game. They were getting trounced. It was like 43-19 at some point in that game. They were getting the brakes beat off them before it got to that point. What in the world are they going to look like now?
It did feel like euthanasia. It did feel like a bit of mercy because this was going to get ugly. For the rest of the year, Steph Curry was going to have to answer questions. Steve Kerr was going to have to answer questions. Now, as you put it, D'Angelo Russell can go boost his stat line, and they now get a guy who maybe becomes somebody else they trade, somebody else who becomes more valuable to another team, and in the meantime, the expectations go all the way down.
Yeah, let me tell you, though, the expectations go down, but they don't make the loser no more miserable. Like, they got to do is they got to hold down as this goes on. You got to hold down Draymond Green as this goes down. Welcome to what coaching is for everybody else, Steve Kerr, where you don't walk in with a ready-made champion. Coming up next, will the Ravens give the Patriots trouble?
High Noon is brought to you by ServPro, the fire and water cleanup and restoration specialist at 1-800-ServPro and ServPro.com.
I'm pretty sure our new house might be haunted.
What makes you say that?
The furniture is levitating. Oh, and the ghost.
Welcome home.
Yeah, that's spooky.
You know what's really scary? Missing out on Geico for help with homeowners and renters insurance. Geico makes it easy to save a bunch.
Great! You're not sticking around, right?
The party's just getting started.
Happy Geico-week. Call today and see how easy homeowners and renters insurance can be.
Greetings, Earthlings. High Noon is beamed to you from above the Heineken River Deck at Pier 17.
I wish I did a better Kornheiser, because imagine him saying, you in? You in? Yeah! You in? What the hell is that costume? First time. Oh. Thursday Night Football. San Francisco plays at Arizona tonight. You in on the Cardinals giving the Niners a close game tonight?
I am all the way out on this. When you look at the San Francisco offense, you think about the rushing attack, and as good as Kyler Murray is, the San Francisco rushing attack is really good, top 10 in the league, and the Cardinals' defensive rushing efficiency, you go down the list, bottom 10, so no thanks.
The answer is no. That's all I got.
Next up, Luke Walton. The Kings lost to the Hornets last night, their 5th straight loss to open the season, and fans even booed Walton off the court, so you win on Luke Walton turning this around.
Hey, man, I just want to ask everybody, when they were getting so offended at the idea that LeBron might get Luke Walton fired last year, you can't fire Luke Walton. And I asked, what reason is there to keep Luke Walton? What has he demonstrated to show you that he is somehow a good coach? I had not seen it. Sacramento hasn't seen it either.
I am out on Luke Walton myself, but he is not the problem here, man. The problem here is the fact that he is coaching a sorry team that has been assembled illogically. Vlade Divac is somehow not the face we are showing here, but he should be. I don't know how he has a job. I don't know how Vivek Ranadiva is still employing him. I don't know what the logic of assembling this team is in general.
The only thing I'll say, though, is this team was this close to making the playoffs last year. Like, not having Marvin Bagley is an issue, but being 0-5 is something I think we would have expected this team to be better than that. Let's move to Rockets Wizards. Two teams combined for 317 points last night in a 159-158 Rockets win. You in on that brand, that being a brand of basketball you want to watch?
I am in on this. I don't want it all the time, but this is a decadent dessert that I would like to sample occasionally. There was no defense at all, but when it comes down to like guys doing incredible things, there were many incredible things being achieved in these videos.
Where are these incredible things that you're talking about? Because I'm looking at these videos. That's what passes for incredible to you.
Yes, a lot of guys being really good at putting the ball in the basket. That's pretty incredible.
Are they being really good at putting the ball in the basket or being really bad at being guarded, right? I did not see a single incredible thing happen in that one. That was the All-Star game without what makes the All-Star game the All-Star game. Bunch of All-Stars.
59 points James Harden had. Next up, AJ Green. He told ESPN about his future with the Bengals, quote, "Give me a long-term contract or just let me go," end quote. So you win on the Bengals giving AJ Green a long-term deal.
I can be in on it. It just all depends on how important it is for Mike Brown to keep a guy whom you could argue is the best player in the history of the franchise. The only reason for Green to want to stay there is because he just wants to stay in one place. But it's Mike Brown, so if you're going to do that, it's going to come cheap.
I am in on this because I don't know how many players the Bengals can really imagine who want to be there for the long run. I don't know how many people want to marry Mike Brown, but AJ Green does, and the fact that they did not trade him, which I think they would have been reasonable to do, basically means this might be the only bright spot you have.
Remember that people thought that Marvin Lewis was the problem in Cincinnati? And now, Pascal Siakam. Siakam put up 35-5 in a Raptors win over the Pistons. You in on Pascal taking another leap this year?
I am in on this because Pascal Siakam had a couple of weaknesses last year. He could not create for others. He could not shoot threes. He is doing both of those really well, about twice as often as he did last year. So the ceiling on this guy is kind of unimaginably high.
Yeah, well, the Kawhi Leonard parallels are interesting here because Kawhi was a guy who primarily played inside in college. And when he got to the league, he was better on the perimeter than I thought. And people are like, well, this guy's going to be a franchise player. And I wasn't sure because in the role he had, I didn't see franchise player. And now he's Kawhi Leonard. This is a similar place that we're in with Siakam, right? He's number 29 pick in the draft when he came out there. And now he is a guy that looks to be unstoppable. So most improved player last year. Can you win that 2 years in a row?
When you play defense like that, I think you can. But now the Ravens. Baltimore defensive tackle Brandon Williams said they will give the Patriots, quote, a run for their money, end quote. So you in on that for this weekend?
I can see the argument for it. The line started on this game as the Patriots minus 3.5, which felt pretty low, except once you realize as great as that Patriots defense is, the run defense is merely very good. The Ravens have the best rushing attack in the league. They have a chance to keep this close.
I am in on the Patriots winning this game, but I am also in on this being a challenge for Bill Belichick. Belichick was saying all week, he does not have a guy in practice who can simulate what Lamar Jackson does. Nobody in this league does. So when it comes to the rushing attack they're going to scheme up and how they stop that, they compare it to like a Greg Roman offense they're facing. They can handle that, but it's going to be tough.
One thing, second-year quarterback who has done well against them was Colin Kaepernick in his second year with offensive coordinator Greg Roman. Finally, Jorge Masvidal. UFC 244 is this Saturday. Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal at open workouts. Cortez's favorite fighter invited two fans on stage. Yeah, he's from Miami. Two fans on stage to spar with each other. You in on that being a good idea?
I am not, although this video is incredible, and I hate being the guy who has to wonder, where are the lawyers in this? Because it's very uncool to say when something cool is happening, but how is this even allowed? You're just having random people fight in front of you on camera now?
Well, my confusion on this comes up